Yo, what those up? Welcome back to Reviews with Jake, where I just got done watching Vampires vs. the Bronx on Netflix. Vampires vs. the Bronx is a story about some vampires that are trying to move into the Bronx in order to start feeding on the people that live there. However, a few neighborhood kids start to pick up on their plan and they say, nah. I also feel like that has to be the most unnecessary synopsis I've ever given for a movie. I mean, you have the vampires, they're fighting the Bronx. I also don't feel like I really need to explain why I pushed play on this. We're pushing halfway through October. Gotta keep those Halloween vibes alive. Admittedly, I usually give you probably way too much precursor and setup before I actually start the review itself, but you know what? Not today. I'm actually pretty content with that, and I assume you are too, so I'm gonna shut the up and start the review. The pros start with the acting and on-screen chemistry between our three leads, the three little kids. As is the case with all movies and shows that feature a small group of kids as the protagonists. You got Stranger Things, It, Super 8, all those hinge on the chemistry of our kids. We need to believe that they are best friends with each other, and we absolutely do here. These three play well off of each other, which is good, because if they didn't, it would be a train wreck. These three, along with a few other characters, lead the way to some decent laughs. I mean, I wouldn't say the movie is hysterical by any stretch, but I mean, it's definitely funnier than a lot of other movies that have come out, especially this year, that were advertised much more to be comedies. This movie was a pleasant, enjoyable chuckle. The movie also had some nice youthful energy to it, from its soundtrack to implementing different social media interfaces and the way that it was edited, to just the kids' approach of handling the very adult problem of vampires moving into their neighborhood as they are kids. It was just a lot of fun. It kind of has like the Home Alone effect, you know, like Home Alone would not have worked as well as it did, having that sort of childlike innocence to it if it were an adult dealing with another adult trying to break into the house. It only works as well as it does because it's a kid handling an adult problem. Movies like this work because it's kids handling issues that are perceived to be kind of greater than them, larger than them, and they're going to tackle these issues in ways that an adult wouldn't, for better or worse. As a result, you can have a lot of fun with that. It can be very fresh, new, open the door to some new exciting things. Because modern problems require modern solutions. Speaking of modern problems, random sidebar, I just want to point out that the very evil corporation that's bringing these vampires into the Bronx, at their front desk area, they have a very visible iMac sitting there. This immediately grabbed my attention because it's been widely reported that Apple does not allow movies to have their antagonists, their villains, using their products because they don't want to be shown in that light, and supposedly they're super anal about it. Considering this is involving Apple and Netflix, two massive corporations with endless rivers of money and lawyers, I'd imagine this isn't the first time this has been brought up. I imagine they discussed this scene and moved past it because the Apple logo is not hidden. I mean, they may as well just have a light on it because it's that obvious. So maybe that rumor / report about Apple products and villains isn't true? I don't know, but it grabbed my attention. I didn't know where else to talk about it. It's not a pro, it's not a con, it's just me feeding my ADD and point out something that frankly doesn't matter at all. However, on the note of the cons, I do have a few. For starters, the visual treatment of the vampires in this movie was not great. The effects of them flying and soaring through the air looked hilariously cheesy as hell, while the over-the-top makeup of their faces just was way too caked on. It looked more like Buffy the Vampire Slayer more than anything. Hell, the fake teeth that they added gave some of the actors and actresses hell. They couldn't talk without having a ridiculous lisp. I mean, maybe it was intentional, maybe they meant to go for this cheesy vibe a little bit, but I don't know, it just didn't feel very decisive. It felt like they were trying to keep the feet in both areas because they didn't want to commit to it. It just didn't feel like that's what they were going for. Sort of on the same note, this is another movie that kind of falls into that audience and rating purgatory. The violence in the movie feels very censored, like we should be seeing a lot more blood than what we see here. It almost feels like they're hiding it from us to keep a lower rating, like a PG-13 rating, but then you have characters dropping F-bombs and whatnot. I feel like this movie would have really benefited from being more decisive, really committing to the level of maturity required for its content. The movie's also predictable as hell, like you can foresee every event that happens a solid 5 to 10 minutes before it actually does. They try and toss a few curveballs and red herrings at you, but they don't work. You can sniff them out. I mean, they all follow the same path very traveled. It also featured way too many laughable decisions from our characters, both from the protagonists as well as the vampires. So many moments from either side that had me like, well, if you just did this, then that'd be it. movie over. Yeah, I know a movie has to movie, but I firmly hold the stance that a film only gets so many get out of logic free cards, and this one owes us a few. Finally, I found the third act of the film very anticlimactic and unfulfilling. When the final sequence begins, I was not shocked. Again, it was very predictable, but I was excited. I was like, alright, moment we've been waiting for. Let's do this. But then it happens and I'm like, that was oddly unsatisfying. Which is nuts considering the stage that they set feels like a sure thing, like impossible to underwhelm, but they managed to pull it off. Like Thor versus the Destroyer in the first Thor movie. You're waiting the whole movie for that throwdown, then it happens and you're like, really? That's it? All in all, the movie was not terrible, but it was definitely expendable. For a movie under 90 minutes, you could probably do a lot worse this Halloween season. I'm going to give Vampires vs. the Bronx on Netflix a C. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay up to date with new reviews coming real soon. Stay safe and thanks for checking in.